You already see AI is taking over the jobs, correct? So now when you have this population which is there in the city, and if they don't have jobs or their income start going down, the new people who are entering that workforce, will they have jobs? So what is going to happen, Brian, is it's called reverse migration. So we will all go back to our small towns because there are three basic things you need: food, shelter, and clothing. You don't mind sleeping outside if you don't have shelter. You don't mind sleeping naked if you don't have food. So the first thing what you need is food. Our ancestors were more scientific than all the scientists combined on this universe. Why? Because you see, the way science worked in our ancestral times was that it went down from one family to the other, to the other, to the other. By the time it came to you, you were not told to go barefoot. There were no shoes in the house. You were not told that you are supposed to work in your field in the morning. Because if you will not wake up early, you can't work when the sun is hot at 11 or 12. It was common sense. And now that early sunlight has this and has that and has all this. Now you put in that science. That's what I say, that the science what they have. Because you see, this all thing, what you're talking in terms of science in any field, everywhere this free money has gone. For example, you talk of research. Go inside and check which research was not paid. Each research has been paid by some company to come out with certain things. Imagine you are staying in a jungle with a family. Yeah, this is how we were there in caves or whatever. So when you're going out, did you know that you're going to get food? The answer is no. Did you know the kind of risks you're going to face that day? So the last question, did you know that you're going to come back alive? Okay, so the point I'm trying to say is, the person who can take the risk is always the man. So that's why you see the men are always risky. Now, the man goes out and he has a deer or some animal in his sight and he's trying to aim. At that moment of time, can that man afford to have his attention and focus somewhere else? This is the reason why when a man is watching football, he can only watch football. The woman will keep on, I'm telling you 2 times, Brian, you're not listening to me. Kumar, you're not listening to me. You want to do. But a man will only do one thing at one time.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Organic Guy podcast. I'm your host, the Organic Guy. And our guest today is someone you've already seen in the podcast before. You have a little bit of information about him. And every single time I sit down with him and just have a conversation, I always come out with a lot of knowledge and wisdom and a different perspective of how the world works. So today I just wanted to have a sit down with him and for him to really help us give his own perspective on a lot of things. He goes by the name of Kumar Sheth. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you, Brian.
I mean, I remember the first time I had a conversation with you, it was very interesting. And this was also confirmed by the amount of people who really resonated with your thinking. And the last time we talked, I feel like it's almost exactly 1 year ago. And I feel like a lot of things have changed since then. For example, we didn't have a dollar trillionaire back then, but now we do in the name of Elon Musk. Of course, there are other current issues. We're talking about unemployment. Yes, it was there. I think now it has ballooned. We're talking about the issue of debt. So there's a lot of things to talk about. But for me, and I think since we are in this era and I interact with a lot of people, there's this issue of unemployment, right? We are churning a lot of people from our universities who are, learned. If you look at how it was marketed, it was like, go to school, get your degree. After that, you'll be able to find employment, right? So from your perspective, given your rich history over 25 years involved in the financial and the accounting world, what do you think we are doing wrong?
Thank you, Brian. The reason why I said I need to come out and talk is because Almost everything I'm doing, I'm going against what majority of the people are doing. So when you give my introduction, you mentioned about my accounting background, finance background, business background. But look at it, you never mentioned about my family background. You never mentioned whether I'm married, I have a wife, I have a kid, whether I've got father, mother, grandfather, grandmother. This is the biggest issue what we have in our society right now, which has been affected because of whether you call it capitalism or whether you call it where we are today right now. Now, when you talk of unemployment, education, you talk of AI, and you talk of where the world is headed, and if you look at it, we all are focused on something which is not good rather than being focused on what is good. I believe when we're talking on farming, everybody is focused on pests and fungal infections and viral infections, but nobody is focused on providing the soil with food. So focus and attention is the key in this world. You see, wherever your attention goes, that's what is going to grow. Let's look at a bit of history. Let's go back 400 years ago. I believe earlier, it's because I might not be accurate in terms of facts. I'm not here to show I know this date and that date and who did what and what. I'm not here to say that. What I'm said is I had a lot of free time last 2.5 months where I had pneumonia, and I read a lot and I followed a lot of people and understood a lot of new concepts. So coming back to this point, if you look at it, earlier the way we were, every civilization was built with families, right? So there is a family. The meaning of a family is you have a grandfather and a grandmother, you have got your parents, you have got other siblings for your parents, and then you have others. And this is how the whole thing was being managed at a family level. So how money evolved and how things started working around the world. So if you go earlier, the British Empire was the most powerful empire. Okay, I'm not going before that, where we had the First World War and the Second World War. So during the Second World War, what happened? People can go out and check history and you'll find it. So the British pound was something which was the highest denominated currency, right? But if you look at it, they were not manufacturing anything. They were not producing anything of major value to get their currency up. So for us to understand in simple terms, we have to understand that whenever you appreciate or depreciate a currency, it can really mess up a country. So coming from that perspective, suddenly one fine day, the US denied to give the gold back to those people. They collected the gold for the services which they provided, and the next day they said that US dollar is the currency. So I hope we are getting until here. So the US dollar is a currency which is backed by gold. So what is the meaning of a currency? It is something which is any other coin made from any other metal than gold or paper. So that's what the currency was, and it was backed by gold. So I think it was 1971 when the US said that their currency is not going to be backed by gold. That is the first thing. Second thing, in 1974, maybe a few years from there was a concept of petrodollar which was introduced. So what is a petrodollar? The Middle East, where Saudi Arabia was one of the main countries with which the US partnered, and there was OPEC, which the oil producing economic countries, they were together. So basically what it was that there were 2 to 3 conditions which were done. So number one, all the oil trade in the world is going to be done in the US dollar. And against that, all the security for the Middle East is going to be given by the United States of America. And third thing, whatever money they make, they are going to invest in the US stocks and bonds. So this is what is the hegemony, or there are many concepts around it which can be explored. You can go and check. I'm not here to give a financially deeper conversation, but this is for the common man to understand the perspective of where it all started. Now, US dollar becomes the world's reserve currency. So we need to understand what is the meaning of a world reserve currency. In simple language, every country, it will need oil. It will need various other things which they need to import from other countries. So what they did is, so assuming today Uganda and Kenya needs to trade, why can't we trade between Uganda shillings and Kenya shillings? Why do you need a US dollar pro forma invoice? See, today when you go out to buy something, you'll say, okay, fine, how much it is going to cost, whether you're importing from China or whether you're getting it something from Uganda or any African country. Why do we have the US dollar in between? So that is the basic fundamental thing on which the whole thing has been constructed. Okay? So that is about the reserve currency which is there. So what has happened over a period of time? We are seeing a narrative right now that the US debt is at $39 trillion, right? So how did it get there? The reason why it got there is because every other conflict, at least 70 or 80% of the conflicts in the world, has been created by the so-called people who are controlling this $39 trillion over a period of time. So you will find many narratives going on. So suddenly you will find there are issues in Afghanistan. Suddenly you find issues in various countries. Afghanistan is there, Iraq is there. Recently there was Venezuela. Okay, so all these conflicts, they have been created in such a way because when there is a conflict, they have been doing this everywhere in the world where one country is sanctioned and the other country is given bailouts and money. And this is what is keeping the US dollar as a reserve currency. And this is how they have transferred inflation to different countries. So today, if somebody who is doing a job, a blue collar job, let's say a plumber, or let's say somebody who is a housemaid or somebody in the United States, they are making so much money that we are not able to understand how is it like that. So why a $5,000 is worth 750,000 shillings here or 600,000, whatever it may be here. So this is the difference which has been carried. By the way, when you talk of United States or any country, it depends whom are you talking about. Are you talking about the population, the people? Are you talking of the government? Or are you talking of the people or the companies who run the government? So there are different things involved here. And since last few hundred years, all these things has changed. So we all see people talking about Rockefellers and Rothschilds and whatever names that they are controlling and they are evil and they have got so much of money and all. So all these things have changed over a period of time and they have taken a different approach or a different forms here. Forms is the right word. Where you will find multiple institutions specifically doing this kind of things.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is we have this thing called the currency and it is backed by nothing, literally. And over time, it has been losing its value.
So when they removed the gold backing from the US dollar, you call it a fiat currency. A fiat currency is a currency which is backed by nothing. So it is backed by promise. Why it is backed by promise is because of the narrative and because of how it has been conditioned on our mind. I mean, if you forget the last few years of Donald Trump, you will also say the same thing that one of the most powerful country in every aspect is the United States of America. So one of the places where this power comes from in the financial world is if you give back the US Treasury bonds to the government, you will be paid back in any currency you want or gold, because gold is the end where you get into financial terms. Right now we are seeing the gold spikes in the world. This is the reason why, because people are not having any confidence in the reserve currency or the economy where it is going. So it's like you're hedging your things by putting your money into the gold. And by the way, in the past years, the United States has not only made their own currency fiat, but most of the Western currencies are also the same. Whether you talk of the pound, whether you talk for the euro, nothing is backed by anything. For example, Gaddafi, the reason why he was taken out is because he wanted to have a currency which was backed by gold. So the kind of things which has happened in this world, just because we don't know, it does not mean it has not happened. And the perspective, so everything has got at this macro level, there is some connections about this. And by the way, if you talk of World Bank, if you talk of IMF, these are all acting on behalf of the so-called capitalists there. So name one country which has really benefited because of the reforms by IMF and World Bank, right? And once you are inside that, there is a loop which keeps on going because, and right now, when these policies come in, I don't want to bring politics in here, but we'll say, oh, Ruto's government is doing this is doing that. But we all don't know what kind of pressure at a geopolitical level has been given to the government, and they don't have a choice because you're sitting with certain things. Yes, we have an issue with corruption. Whether it is more or less in this regime is a different question for us to answer, because as I said, our focus and attention is going to give birth to what we want in the future. So I'm not focusing on what is going wrong. What I'm trying to say is, let's save what we can save and let's build something.
Yeah, I think that's very clear in terms of, we had this thing called currency. It was backed by something. Now we have this thing called currency, and it doesn't have anything behind it, right? So there's that nuance of, hey, how is this supposed to help me? And I think that makes sense from a common man, right? So if we look back, especially in the era of our grandparents, I mean, one thing I also hear a lot of things people complain is that we are earning a lot more money. So let's say you're earning 100,000, 200,000. That is the kind of money our grandparents would live like lavishly. Right now, it's impossible for like a common man to live comfortably with that kind of money. How does the devaluation of the currency affect the normal man who has been told, hey, go to school, just do your work, get your degree, and then everything will be all right?
I think we'll have to go deeper on the aspects of what you mentioned about grandparents. Then we will go on the side of education, how it was changed. So I mentioned to you that when you gave my introduction, you did not introduce me in terms of my family, grandparents, where I come from, whom do you live with. You have given because this is how the whole world is doing it, right? It does not matter whether you're a single, you're divorced, you're separated. It does not matter you have kids, you don't have kids. It does not matter you're taking care of your parents or your grandparents. Because if it would have mattered, we would have talked about it, right? So just to say that. And so now coming back to how we used to live maybe 3 generations ago in case of Africa, 4 or 5 generations in case of Indians. In case of America, I don't know because they have changed for a long period of time. I believe 7 generations or 8 generations. Everybody was doing the same thing. You had a family, agriculture was the base. Right now you see in main circle media, our agriculture percentage is X, 50%, 60%, but it was more than 90% earlier because everything was revolving around agriculture. So a farmer's son will become a farmer, right? A cobbler's son will become a cobbler. A butcher's son is becoming butcher. So tell me what is wrong in that? Who is the best person to teach the child? It's the father. Yeah. See, we will touch on gender inequality and women's rights and all those things because it's also narrative which has been put in our minds. Just to tell you, women are 10 times more powerful than us. They don't have to be equal. So now you have a family. In that family, who is the person who goes out and takes the risk? Is the man? He is the one who goes out, and it is not about, as I said, it's not about gender equality, but that is how we have evolved. So it's in your DNA as a man. So every now and then it's the man who has went out and taken the risks and done whatever needs to be done. So ideally he is the one who is now able to guide, train, educate the child, because that is how is survival, right? So one of the main things what in our African and Indian culture what we have and what in the Western culture is we believe in savings and the next lifetime. Why do you do that? Because you're concerned about your next sibling. But in the Western culture, what do? As they get 18, they're thrown out of the house. You live your life. Why are they doing that? Is because of the earlier theory I mentioned to you. There is the government which is taking care of you. That's the narrative put on you because there is free money. Can you afford to put your kids outside the way it is being done there? You can't do it because there is no free printing of Kenya shillings here. So we have to understand what they've been doing. Okay? But what happens is the narrative is put in our side. Oh, you know what? You're getting free education there. You're getting free this and free that. So basically it's a myth that America is a democracy. It's not a democracy. It's a socialist country. Everything is being given is benefits, right? So this is how the family used to run. Now you talked of unemployment. So before you talk of unemployment, you need to talk about education, right? So where did all these systems of education come from? I believe in Kenya also we have taken it from the British. In India also, when I studied, it was taken from the British. So you have been put in a classroom, you have been given 10 subjects, and you have been told that you are not good in 9 of them, or 8 of them, or 7 of them. Nobody is telling you that you are good in 3. But what have you learned in your life? To do only one thing what your dad is doing. As they say, if you really want to educate your kid, he is not going to listen to you, but he is going to follow you. So you tell him, don't smoke a cigarette, and you're smoking a cigarette in front of him, be assured he's going to smoke something better than a cigarette. Okay? Because that's how human life is. Now look at the education system. So you have to also now again go back in history and understand when the British was colonizing the whole world, they needed workers for those factories. Now you have to go deeper again into it. Why factories? Now this shirt what you are wearing, right? It's an African print on it. It's done in a certain way. I am wearing a shirt which is a different one. So in the olden times, every person was creating something in his own different way. So it was not production for the masses. It was production by the masses. So now let me explain you. Production for the masses is this. This is where the capitalist comes in. So you have got 20 people making shirts in a small town or a village. Each person is making in a different way. So capitalist comes in because virtually I don't pay any interest on my money. It is free printing money. You have to understand why they have been able to innovate and have these big companies. It's because of the free money. If you had you and me, we would have innovated much better than Apple and Google. But we don't know that, right? Now you know that the kind of money what they have got was at an instance level. So coming back to the point. So now a capitalist comes into your village and he tells all of you that you don't have uniformity. I'm putting up a factory. I'm going to make only one design. So he kills 20 designs. And he'll say, all of you become jobbers, job working with me. So you become a jobber from an entrepreneurial journey. So this is where things started going wrong. So now you have become a jobber. You have given your artisan skills or whatever you want to call it, heirloom, whatever you have inherited from your ancestors. And in a generation or two, already you are cursing them. Now you are seated without your land, you are seated without the skills, and because that is maybe with your grandfather or a father of your grandfather. And now you have your father who has already come from a background of working class, right? So now you are also going into the school, you are also getting educated. So right now somebody says mechanical engineer is good, so people will do more mechanical engineering. People will say accounts is good, they will do accounts. People will talk of computer engineering, computer science, and they'll start doing that. So this is how the education system was. Those times, for their slavery, see earlier there was slavery. Africa has gone through so that slavery was known as a slavery, right? Because we were put in cages like animals and we were sold off, right? The modern time slavery is you are paying for that slavery for your son. So you are paying for the education for your son or daughter to go out there and work and become a jobber and be unsatisfied in his life by working for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours in a day, come back and abuse the wife or because, he's not happy. You understand what I'm saying? So now they also spin another narrative that women are equal. So now they want the woman also to go out there and work. So this is how deep it is. This is how deep we need to go if we really need to look at it. So that is what is education in those times, where earlier there was slavery. So in slavery, they said, okay, fine, let's invent a very new way of slaves. So even some of the parents, grandparents, if you say they don't understand how somebody is going to an AI company as he is earning 20 times more and he's just 20 years old. So that's where education has got us to. So we don't have our backgrounds in terms of the various things what our parents or grandparents used to do. There is no entrepreneurial spirit left because you see, once you break somebody for 1 or 2 generations, what are you going to get out of it, right? And we all start thinking that, okay, without money I can't do, And then we start looking towards banking and getting small loans and micro loans. So again, I'm diverging on the subject. So earlier, when you were young, when we were young, the people who were betting money on us on our entrepreneurial things was our family and community. So look at it, what they have done. They've broken your family, they've broken your community. When I say a community, does not mean from one clan or one caste or one race or religion. When you talk of community, today on a phone call, how many people are going to come to you if you make a phone call? Can you gather 50 people? If you look at the current kids, they might be well educated or getting good education, but if you look at it, the basic life skills are not there. If you tell a kid, he might be knowing how to drive the car which belongs to his father, but he will not know how to change oil, how to change a tire, how to check the pressure. So this is what has happened to the education over a period of time. So there is a migration from the villages to the towns. Why? Because all the jobs are in the town. So most of the people are coming here, and also you see many times people have farms, but they don't have farm workers. So in the olden days, there was no farm worker. There's always family. So now we have got the population increasing. We have got various people coming into towns. However, we don't see any meaningful employment. If you look at it, what is the average salary what a Kenyan gets? How much can he save from it? Even if that person has got dreams of entrepreneurships, when will he going to save that kind of money and do something about it? And it's all a myth. You don't get money if you don't have assets to give as collateral, right? I'll come with a wonderful idea that I want to do something. Do you know any bank? Do you know any individual? Or do you know any person who is going to give you money? No. So the only person who would give you is your parents, your relatives, your friends. And over a period of time, you have been taught with a narrative that it's not good. So we have already broken away from that, right? So now in unemployment, right now, the biggest thing what we are talking about is artificial intelligence, right? That AI is going to take over the jobs. It has already taken over, and it is much faster than what we think. And I believe, I'm not talking negatively about the Kenyan government, but we can't do anything about it. Neither any other country. Okay, because you see, I told you about how they are hand twisting or arm twisting us with the IMF money, with the World Bank, with the so-called carrots what they're given, and then from the other side they want to get Starlink here. So when Starlink comes here, it will finish Safaricom. When you find GMOs coming in, it is going to finish our agricultural sector, right? So I'm just giving you the facts in front of us. I'm not talking in terms of how we are going to react to it, and that's a different concept altogether.
It's quite interesting you mentioned about the effect Starlink is going to have Safaricom and the GMOs. And I think this is where the issue of printing money comes in. So, for example, Starlink is heavily subsidized by the US government, right? It gets a lot of contracts. It gets a lot of incentives from the government to do its business, something that our local companies don't get. Like the Safaricoms, you mentioned about GMOs also, highly subsidized in the US. So it's easier for them to come here. And then when they get here, it's easy for them to get into the market itself, and they can easily dominate that. So there's that issue that doesn't talk about, and it all encompasses from the first point you were talking about, the issue of money.
Let me surprise you. You might think that IT companies are privately owned, right? The reason I'm saying that is none of them is that, because if you go back to the 2008 bubble, I'm not going into the details of the financial aspects of it, why it happened, what happened. What I'm trying to tell you is how it operates all the time. So what happens is, before there is a bubble, there are narratives which are set. There are conditions made for such a thing to happen. Once that triggers, you have a financial crisis. Like 2008 bubble, I think in one day 78% valuation or something crashed. So now the US government came in, so they have all their different nodes, and different ways they do. What happened is the person who built those companies those times, and the valuations went to this much, and then they went on a penny. Some institution came and bought them at a penny. So what they're doing is, post-bubble, what we don't see is that they are buying assets at the cost of pennies. Some of the big names, what we have, BlackRock, Vanguard, and other things. If you go details, there's too much of money, power in terms of money, which they control. BlackRock has got 20,000 board seats in the whole world in different organizations. So you can imagine the leverage what it has. It has got an AI program which is called Aladdin, and it can check anything happening anywhere in the world in terms of finance if certain variables are moved in a faster way. And this is all built over a period of time. We are just learning about AI right now. All the companies, including Google, Apple, they were created for acts of war. People don't know that. Okay.
Can you explain that? Because I think one of Google's mission is "Don't be evil." I think that's their tagline. So when you talk about like they are created for the acts of war, what do you mean?
So you see, if you go back into the olden records of the Pentagon, most of these companies have been seriously funded by Pentagon. There is an IT company called Plantier. I don't know if you have heard of them, right? So where did it come from? They have been sitting with Pentagon, and they have been working together with those military precision aspects of certain things in certain war situations, which is the Gaza Strip, the Palestine, and some other places in the world. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that this is what they have in general in common, all of them. Yeah. Why I'm saying this is because AI is just one aspect of what you're going to see in the future in the US. For example, AI is a bubble which is going to be much bigger than the dot-com crisis what we faced. So all of this is going to crash like anything. People are going to be jobless, assetless, and everything. So now there's going to be civil unrest, and all these people are going to be put into the Musk cities and Bill Gates cities. I believe they're building up smart cities. They're not smart cities, the same smart, the prison I told you about. So the way we had slaves earlier, this is now a modern way of slavery. What is the modern way of slavery? I mentioned to you the other one, where we are ourselves making our kids slaves because of the teaching system, what we are teaching them, right? So what is the new form of slavery, what we are going to see in the US is that now imagine that you're 10,000 people, 100,000 people, and everybody is jobless, and the government comes in and says, here is the money, universal high income. I think that's the concept tossed by Elon Musk or somebody. So they're saying you don't need to do anything. He has gone on various places and say, we are going to have abundance. The machines are going to do all the work. So what the hell are we going to do? So you might also counter and say, if America has been able to do it until now by printing $39 billion, they can also do it in the future, right? It can keep on going. But in the finance, there is nothing which can continue limitless, right? Always there is something which starts, it has to end. One of the questions before we started, you mentioned, Kumar, if I am a father right now, and I'm a family, and I have a son, and I want to send him, I think you mentioned West US or somewhere for doing an IT course. Yeah, I think that was the question. So after hearing this, what do you think?
It's a tough balance, because I'm thinking with the current setup, maybe the exposure in the Western world will be good for him, in the sense that it will help him see the different kind of systems and how they work, and maybe hopefully get some contacts.
So you see, this also is coming back from the same thing, that if he goes there and has those experiences, he'll be able to make more money, or he'll be able to make a better living. But I am already telling you, this is where it is leading to. See, what they are doing right now, I saw a video where they're putting mobile phones on some workers, I think it was from India, they're putting a mobile phone on their head while they're doing work with their hands. Maybe they're cleaning something. So let's talk in terms of agriculture. Let's say it's a company which is exporting herbs. So the ladies who are cleaning the herbs and packing the herbs, they've been given some money just to put a phone on their head so that AI can capture their movements. So tell me what is going to happen in a few months, because these days it does not take years. Those same women will be replaced by this AI. That's what they want to do. Because Mr. Musk is talking about putting more humanoids than human beings on the planet. Even I was a prey to that. I sent my son to the US. I took some loan. And fortunately, he did not like it there. And I got him back here. By the way, he got admission in one of the best universities, not because he was brilliant, because he was on a Kenyan passport. No, most people don't know, because they want to have different nationalities. He got in a uni called Georgia Tech. Okay, I think, they call it poor man's Ivy League. It's a very good university in terms of what you want to learn. So I'm fortunate that he has come back. So that's a story for a different place. Right now, also, you see, if you look at it, the various big companies, they've been talking also that they have been employing kids who are not graduate with certain skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So when these kind of things are happening, why do you want to spend an entire fortune of your lifetime for your son to get a particular skill, because most of the people around us are doing it, and you also feel it is right? So I feel that is not something which needs to be done, because you like it or not, within a year or two, most of the simple jobs which are repetitive in nature will be gone, and because they'll be replaced, because you don't have a choice. Because now, you still don't want to do it, but most of your competitors are doing it, and if you don't do it, you will still have to do it. So that's what I'm saying. It's not something where we are saying it's not about a belief that we are believing this and we are believing that. We'll have to stay in it, but still see how we are better off than the other people. Because you see, we are better off, Brian, because we don't know. See, most of us right now still have parents or grandparents, and we can call that place Shago. Yeah, we say you come from this place. I'm unfortunate. I'm not black and I'm not born here. I don't have a farm here. So point I'm trying to say is that there is a place where you can fall back to. Now, that is a place which we need to look into, because let me tell you what is going to happen. If AI is going to take care of most of the jobs, are there going to be any jobs left in the IT cities? So in India, we have got big cities. They talk about Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Pune. These are the cities which has got huge investments and a lot of work for the Western countries they've been doing. Now, if you look at from the economy side, most of these Western countries, they're literally going down the drain, including the United States, because the United States does not produce anything, manufacture anything. And we all saw what it did with this recent war we had in terms of oil and what they wanted to do. The oil prices went up. Iran also benefited. United States also benefited. It is in front of us. It's a daylight robbery. What I'm trying to tell you is, forget about what we talked. You already see AI is taking over the jobs, correct? So now when you have this population which is there in the city, and if they don't have jobs, or their jobs start going down, or their income start going down, the new people who are entering that workforce, will they have jobs? So what is going to happen, Brian, is it's called reverse migration. So we will all go back to our small towns, because there are three basic things you need: food, shelter, and clothing. You don't mind sleeping outside if you don't have shelter. You don't mind sleeping naked if you don't have food. So the first thing what you need is food.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I think you've given a really, really good overview of where we are. You started talking about the education system, why you think that our parents system was actually much better. And it makes sense because I think the whole idea was of apprenticeship was I will teach you what is applicable in our village. Let's say you are a carpenter, then there's a lot more people in your village who come to you already. You have already customers who already know you what you do, and then you can teach that to your kids, and then the cycle continues. Now you say that has been broken. Right now we have a system in where government has these systems. It's encouraging a lot more people to take their kids there. But the caveat is people who introduced that system already, let's say the British, they have such system. They have a government that is able to take care of their people, which is not the case in the Kenyan context. So given that backdrop then, what will you advise? So you have, let's say, a young person who has access to a phone. They have access to, let's say, 10,000 shillings. They have access to internet. What should they do, or where should they begin?
The way I look at it is, first, as you rightly mentioned, you gave an example of the resources what the person has. I would like to ask more questions on that example. That person, what you have, I also need to know, does he have parents? Yes. Does he have grandparents? Yes. Does he have brothers? Does he have sisters? Does he have a wife? Does he have kids? Because we have a very stupid thing in Kenya like single mothers and single fathers. You see, this whole thing has also messed us up like anything. Because you see, a kid needs to be brought up with a father and a mother. They can't grow the way they need to grow with a single parent. So the point I'm trying to say is, let's say in the finance world, the simplest term is the SWOT analysis. You know, your strength, your weakness, your opportunity, and your threat. Now, when you're counting your strength, I don't have full information. Okay, so I need to know this 10,000 shillings, what you're getting every month, is where is it from? Do you have a family? Do you have a place to stay? Are you somebody who can go back to village? Or are you somebody who can't go back to village? Okay, there are the two. So let me tell you how I look at it. So let's say an example that you are a married person in Nairobi and both of you are working and you're a small family. This is the ideal world. Your parents are in Shago, it's there. And you are staying here, maybe the rent, whatever it is, and you and your wife both are working, and let's say you have a kid. So you'll also have a maid taking care of the kid. Now, because the salaries don't increase with the kind of inflation what we have and with the kind of shocks we get in our life, like when you have a kid, there is no company going to come and say, take this 50,000 shillings. For the kid, maybe it's your parent who will, because he knows, he has gone through it. When you were born, somebody also helped him. Because that's why we have the rituals. That's why we have our own culture, when somebody is born, when you have birthdays, this is how you look. If you go deeper into it, you understand the financial thinking of our ancestors into it, So coming back to the same thing now, both of you are there. And she's also working, and because she is a lady, generally she is taught how to cook. She also knows how to take care of the baby. And she also knows how to go out and work. So the person who is really multi-talented and better than the man is the lady, right? She can do multiple things. But now she is caught up in all these things, and now you as a family, you are in a question what to do. Okay? Either one of them loses a job or it is not increasing. Now, if you look at it, there are so many avenues where you can make money. So let's take an example. Now, both of you are going there. Where are you eating?
Let's say we are eating at home.
No, it's not the case. Because most of the Kenyans, they prefer eating outside. Yeah. Agree to that? Yeah. You saw me when I came here. I came with my bottle of water. Yeah. Did you carry your bottle of water? The reason I'm carrying this is because I've seen my father doing it. It's not something that I'm good and I'm developed a habit and I want to keep the world better and plastics out. No, it is common sense for me. I don't want to spend 100 shillings today because 100 shillings in 20 days is 2,000 shillings. That's the maths behind it. So now if you look at the same couple, both of working different places, both of them will be eating outside. Okay, that is more than 70% because that's how I've seen. I stay in Westlands. And unfortunately, all these people are eating on kibandas on the road, right? Can you go to Java House every day and have your lunch? So now, understand the business opportunity here. That's how my mind thinks. I don't know if it is right or wrong. So assuming you have a maid, so if you have a maid, she can prepare also some food for you guys, right? In terms of preparation, the taste can come from your wife's side. She can just do it the right way it is done in your culture, right? The way you like, because every other person, every Kenyan is not going to eat his ugali and sukuma and greens and his meat the same way, correct? Every person is going to make it in a different way. So generally, the maid you have got at home to take care of your son or your daughter, your infant, is also going to come from your native place. So she also knows how you eat. So what you're supposed to do is train that lady to make it in such a way that it is acceptable to both of you. So now, instead of eating on those kevandas for whatever price, assuming, because you can't afford to eat meat all the time, so you're just going to eat beans and chapo or dengu and rice and sukuma and ugali. How much is the plate going to cost? 150 shillings? Now, assuming you are getting it done at home and it is delivered to you or you go it together with you, and both of you are working in Nairobi, there will be 5 other people there who will need the same food. So assuming you are taking food for 5 people and your wife is also taking food for 5 people, is there any wrong in doing this? By doing this, you are increasing your family income by at least 30%. Okay, so this is just one example. What I was trying to say is, because you see, if you look at it right now, you see so many people selling these mandazis and coffee, I think, and most of them, they say they are not Kenyans, those young boys. Okay, and there are plenty. But there is some Mohindi or African like you and me who has put his thing in it that, these people need, the construction workers and other people. What they are getting for 30 shillings or 40 shillings is nothing. The cost is 10 shillings or even less. So the point I'm trying to say is entrepreneurship is the key. I can give you examples after examples. Okay, so today you go out and have a coffee. You have a coffee for 350 shillings, whether it is Java, Art Cafe or whatever. Have you thought of having a coffee in a small place where it is run by a local guy with a family place? We don't think like that, right? If you look at it, what is the cost of coffee? 350 shilling coffee which is being sold, okay, where everybody gets same type. You don't have a choice of personalized coffee the way you want it. So there is so many things which can be done because we are still there. We have got, and Kenyans, by the way, are risk takers. You can see them taking risks in every other area, especially because you're also from the farming world, and I have also been in the farms for last 5 years. You really see them that they have that thing in them to do. So my question is, why are we not putting some money on our brothers and sisters? Because there's no bank, there's no microfinance who is going to come.
So you have to have your entrepreneurship mindset on and see, okay, this is the situation that I have. What extra can I do to get extra income?
But you see, by looking at your phone, already you know that AI is going to take over your job. So you have only 2 choices: sit there and do the same thing, or start thinking what you can do. I mean, just because you see right now your stomach is full, you have shelter, you have everything. Let's look at a worst case scenario. Assuming you are a young family and you as a man, you have not been able to provide food for your family for 3 days. How do you feel and what will you do? You can't answer that. Because you and me, we have not gone through it. Those Gen Zs whom you saw them fighting on the road, maybe there are some other aspects of it. Somebody must have funded it or whatever. But they have that rage in it, isn't it? Because there is energy and there is everything, but there is hopelessness.
Yeah. Something that has kept coming on before we talk about the issue of family, we started talking about how our grandparents used to teach us through apprenticeship, and they were very specific about the things they were teaching, right? So in a village, for example, in a village setup, you'll get someone who is a carpenter or someone who is a really, really good farmer at growing something. There existed people who had very specific skills, and then you talked about capitalists came in and they were like, you know what, you don't have to do all that. I'll just come with my machines, I'll standardize everything, and then I will mass sell things to that scale. And I mean, we extrapolated that knowledge into education as well. Now we have a lot more people who are studying about a specific thing. It's whether it's engineering, doctorate, or any other profession, accounting, whatever. But now we've reached to a point where that area has saturated. The Western world have really good government because they can print money, they can offer unemployment benefits, something that our local governments can't do that. So we are in this situation where we already have this system in place, right? We have adopted this Western system, but there's a caveat: we don't have the systems that the Western governments have. That's where we are getting into people are frustrated. You took us to school, we don't know what to do. So given all that background, is it possible for us to get out of that system? Are we just too deep into that system that we cannot afford to look back? We just need to figure out a way. We are in this system already. How can we make it work for us? Or do we have to invent the wheels and try to go back or improve on what we had there?
The answer to this is very simple. First, we have to understand where we are, number one. The school system is not going to make sense by the time my son finishes his degree. So you are in a situation where you can't believe 100% and go back to that thing, and you are already fearful about what is going to happen. So what is a midway? Don't spend your resources on full-time education. Do a part-time education, get the degree for the sake of it, because right now you can't let go of it. Number two, I believe the responsibility is more of the absent father. What do you mean by an absent father? I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, the absent father needs to take responsibility. So how can you put such a big weight about somebody's future where he is not able to look at various aspects of it on a young kid? Because that is what is happening, many times, parents, which college you want to go, you can do this, you can do that. The only reason why he's sitting and not doing anything is because maybe the parents don't have the resources for doing that. So there are multiple types of people in the society. There are some people who have got all the resources. There are some people who have access to a little bit of resources, and there are some people who don't have access to anything. See, this is how, in the olden times, it all revolved around our religious things and, everything, when you have a festival, you don't see whether you have money, you don't have money, everybody's eating together. So those are the things which were coming in. So answering this, first you have to understand that yes, the world is going to get where it is going to get, right, in terms of IT and in terms of everything. So it goes back to your SWOT analysis. So if you have something to go back, it's time to take that step. When I say go back I'm not saying leave a beautiful job you have and a life you have and go back. But what I'm saying is, how you spend your weekends, you change it. So start going back to Shago, start going back there, understand what it is. You'll buy a flat in Nairobi, let's say it is costing you between 8 million and 30 million. I'm not talking of the high end. So the average is 15 million. In 15 million, enough amount of land you can buy at your place. Because you see why I'm saying keeping on repeating at your place, because that is where you came from, that is where your roots are, and that is where you will find peace, happiness, abundance, whatever you call. Because you know the place, or if you're not there, maybe your parents know it. So it becomes easier. Everybody's talking same language, everybody is eating the same food, everybody is dancing to the same tunes. That's what it is. Because once it is not there, so you see, in terms of valuations also, if you buy, from the finance perspective, you have seen gold rising, you have seen silver rising. Okay, I don't understand Bitcoin, so I'm not talking about it. But what is going to happen to agricultural land? They say Some of the biggest billionaires, they own a lot of land in the world. I think there's a famous about Bill Gates. Yeah. So why did he buy farmland? Okay, he has got his, various other things what he wanted to do. There's so many controversies which come about during the time of COVID and other things. In GMOs also, he's invested in all the companies and everything is there. But there are also some other people who are doing that. Now, those people are investing in the farmlands and we are selling our farmlands. Does it make any sense? So you have to understand why you are doing that. I know so many cases, not in a bad way. They say Masais, they've got large tracts of land. So he'll sell some land, he'll enjoy some time. After some time, he'll sell some land. And he'll do the same thing because what he has done is all the time grazing his animals and other things. So what I'm saying is that we have people who have land. It may be every place, but look at it, what is happening. When you go to ground, I believe a lot of land is being bought by foreigners in Kenya. So the answer to this is not as easy, but we are just exploring as you asked the question. So this is what we want, because you see, we will learn from other person's experiences. You see, the meaning of family and community is what will come out of it. Right now, the way you asked the question, what did I say? You did not mention about all the aspects of that situation. You don't know how blessed you are if you have a brother. I know. You don't know how blessed you are when you also have a wife at home taking care of kids, when you also have your parents who are alive and you are able to enjoy with them, right? So people are no more talking about it. So to answer this question in one way would be very difficult, but I believe for each people it will resonate in a different way, and I believe it can open a conversation. We can sit with other people in different areas of life and we can debate about it. No, Kumar, this is wrong what you're saying, or this is right, because everybody is going to talk in terms of their experiences. So, when you talk of education, there is another thing which was also deliberately wiped out, which is traditional medicine. The reason why you have stress about your future is, number one, how am I going to take care of myself, because Medicare is becoming expensive, insurances are becoming expensive. So if you go a bit back, I will just give example from Europe. When we watch this Harry Potter kind of movies and they show a witch doing and some magic potions and putting some things and she's shown as wicked. It's a deliberate narrative pushed down our throat. There were more than, I think, 300,000 women burned to death in Europe before the pharma industry was set up, because they had answers to everything. Right now also, when you're walking on the road, the Masais come and they want to sell you some medicine, traditional, herbal medicine. Herbal medicine and traditional medicine was the backbone of our civilization or our human race. So do you understand? They wiped out your medicine. They wiped out your families and communities. So your community, your family is gone. Your education, what you were learning from your parents is gone. The way you eat and dress is gone. Sometimes when I go to Kisumu and when I'm meeting somebody and I see somebody in a suit, okay, what's the point of wearing a suit? Because in our mind, suit is better. But that is not how we behaved. We behaved in terms of what kind of environment we were in, isn't it? That's how we got evolved. So this whole thing has come to a level where it has literally destroyed every aspect of a simple human life.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that when you mention about the area of medicine, the food, and some of the complexities that we have come to, be comfortable with. I think one of the things is the shoes that we wear. Nowadays, there's a big talk about like walking barefoot. This is something we used to do a lot in the back days. Voluntarily it may, but when you look back, then you start to wonder was that life a little bit better than we thought at that time?
Our ancestors were more scientific than all the scientists combined on this universe. Why? Because you see, the way science worked in our ancestral times was that it went down from one family to the other, to the other, to the other. By the time it came to you, you were not told to go barefoot. There were no shoes in the house. You were not told that you are supposed to work in your field in the morning. Because if you will not wake up early, you can't work when the sun is hot at 11 or 12. It was common sense. And now that early sunlight has this and has that and has all this. Now you put in that science. That's what I say, that the science what they have. Because you see, this all thing, what you're talking in terms of science in any field, everywhere this free money has gone. For example, you talk of research. Go inside and check which research was not paid. Each research has been paid by some company to come out with certain things. When I came new in Kenya, my firstborn, my wife wanted to give my son a cough syrup. And I said, no, don't give. So you land up in two things. Okay, this is her side of the things. Let her do the way she wants to do. Or you will fight about it, right? So I took the second aspect. I used to fight about it. It went to a point where I said, okay, if they die tomorrow, I'll take responsibility. Because what was happening is, the kid is coughing, you want to give the cough syrup all the time. It also had got things to do like paracetamol, which reduces the pressure, for fever. So after a few years, it was banned. All those cough syrups, if you go to news, in 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, these cough syrups were banned. They said it is not good for health. Let's take second example. Fast food, which has got extra sugar, which is highly addictive, which is not good for your immune system. They have been fighting this to write on those ones labels that it is not good for health. Yeah. So it's going to come. Yeah. They have been fighting it off. It's going to come. Today, when you make money, I'm just diverging a bit from the subject. Assuming you are eating sukuma wiki and cabbage at home and the normal food, what we eat as a normal guy, and you are a middle class and on a weekend, you're a family of 3 or 4 and you've got 2,000 shillings to spend, you're going to go and have pizza, right? And 2 liters of Coke or Fanta. You have a phone on your lap. Is it good for you or bad for you? So, something which is worth 200 shillings, what you're spending at home, is bad for you. That's the narrative which has been put in our mind unconsciously. What was happening earlier? On a Sunday, you'll have a relative coming home. You will go to somebody's house. So this is a delicacy cooked by an aunt. This is a delicacy cooked by somebody. Whatever it may be. Look what we replaced it with.
Yeah, and I see that. And I think it reminds me of some of the things that I see a lot of kids do, and that is ask a lot of questions. And I think as we get older, we get into a point where we no longer ask questions. We see, oh, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Or when you get a little bit of money, of course, this is what you're supposed to buy. This is what you're supposed to get for your kids, all those kind of stuff. But you don't get to question and see, okay, why is this the case? Why should I give my kid a syrup, right? Why should I buy my kids the fast food? So I think when we get that curiosity for ourselves, then we can be able to question and maybe start to change the narratives that have been the dominant one. I talked about us looking at the question of the family you were talking about, and something that was fascinating to me when you were talking about it is the role that the family plays and that of the government. So your idea was that governments came and the whole idea behind it was to replace what the parents were doing to some extent. So they'll take your kids to school so that you can go to work, or they can be able to, provide for you the security that maybe you needed, something that a family used to provide as well. So as a young person, maybe we don't have that mindset. Why is, having a family and being close to a family an important aspect
let us see what is happening in the United States or the Western world, right? There, a kid can call the police and say, my parent is beating me up, and the parent can be sued, right? I think you have heard of that. But do you know what happens after that? They take all your kids and they give it to foster homes. They say that you can't take care of your kids. Let that sink in your mind now. How many times you were beaten up when you were young? Myself, I was the spoilt guy. I mean, not a spoiled, I was a mischievous guy. I've been beaten by every person who came in contact with me, including the maid who came at home and including the teacher who came at home. So, what I'm saying is, whether it is good or bad is a different thing. You see, these narratives were spun out of it and they made it into law. So, you can't hit your kid. It's against the law. I'm just talking of one country, okay? And now you will relate it back to where we are staying in Kenya. Number two, because I mentioned to you that the capitalist world, it required a lot of people working. So they looked at the woman also as a factor of production, which needs to go back and start production for the company as early as possible. Because I also mentioned to you the concept of economies of scale. If there are 10 men going into the market and there are 10 men and 10 women going into the market, what happens? It's economies of scale, we all know. This was for their own benefit, it was not for you, number one. So this is the capitalist economy. Now you go to an American home. So both of you are married, you have a kid or two. So if you're 3 people in the house, the minimum bedrooms you have is 5 or 6. Because you take pride that you have a bigger house. The American doctors have been telling their mothers that from the second day, the kid should be put in a different room. Let that sink in. The kid is put in the small baby which is 2 days old. And the mother says, the doctor, the baby is crying. Let it cry. It will get used to it. Just see how opposite it is. With totally what you and me have understood and what we do here. Now, that baby is there. You're buying a lot of things for the baby. It's in a different room altogether. In a few months, because humans are adaptable, the baby will learn to stay alone. And if there is something, you have a camera there, and because both of you are working and making a lot of money, you get somebody to take care of your house or the baby. Now you fast forward there to a few years down the line. Now the baby does not have any attachment with you because you're already keeping that baby in a different place. And now the narrative has been put in your mind that the government is, because you see all your medical bills and other things is taken over by the government and other things. Now the kid is 18. Now you already know, as per law, he can get a lot of benefits if he's outside. So see, assuming today, if your kid stays with you and you get $0, if your kid goes outside, you're getting $1,000. Where did you put your kid? Outside, because you want that money.
Yeah. Because it's interesting. Something earlier you said that a woman is, I think, 8 times more powerful than a man. What do you mean by that?
So, when we were in caves, what was the man doing? He was going out for hunting. When he was going out, did he know that he's going to get something? No. Answer is no. Not 50. I mean, that's what you're trying to say. See, when you imagine you are staying in a jungle with a family. Yeah, this is how we were there in caves or whatever. So when you're going out, did you know that you're going to get food? The answer is no. Did you know the kind of risks you're going to face that day? So the last question, did you know that you're going to come back alive? Okay, so the point I'm trying to say is, the person who can take the risk is always the man. So that's why you see the men are always risky. Okay. Now, the man goes out and he has a deer or some animal in his sight and he is trying to aim. At that moment of time, can that man afford to have his attention and focus somewhere else? This is the reason why when a man is watching football, he can only watch football. Okay? The woman will keep on, I'm telling you 2 times, Brian, you're not listening to me. Kumar, you're not listening to me. You want to do. But a man will only do one thing at one time. When I say man, it's the masculine energy. So now over a period of time we have evolved. So a lady can also have masculine energy and characteristics, and females also can have the other way around. The masculine and the feminine qualities. Yeah, it can be indifferent. Okay, so now when he's going on his route, he does not know where he is going, right? But he still has to find his road coming back, right? That explains why you find that many times when we see that a car is not driven correctly, we say it must be a woman. Because they never went out, they were always in the house. So if you compare them with a driving skill, it is true, correct? Now, look at what the woman was doing at that time. She is taking care of the kids which are there. She is making sure that the house is also secured in a proper way. She is also having a talk with her neighbors around, because you're not staying alone. She is also okay, generally my husband comes at this time, so she also has a watch outside if my husband is coming. So the multitasker here is the woman. That's the reason why when she's on the phone, she can also listen to you 100%. When she's on the phone, she can also keep an eye on the kid which is playing there. When she's on the phone, she can also have an eye on what is boiling on the thing. Same thing, you try it. I tried it once while on the phone. Only one thing, phone and the tea. The tea, port. I believe most of us will be able to resonate with that. So, the person who can multitask is always a woman. The person who has grown over a period of time to do number of things is a woman. The person who can save for you is also the woman. Because once you went out, you came out back with a hunt. Who is the one who is saving it? Who is the one knows what to cook first, what to cook later, and what to save? So, this is the aspect what I meant, that in terms of when we talk of woman empowerment, there is nothing about woman empowerment. That is why you're together. There are certain things which a woman can do and the certain things a man can do. But now, this narrative has put in us, and it has put us on a clashing thing all the time. So, either the man or I'm done with you. Yeah, so you don't want to get married. You just want to go and enjoy yourself. Yeah, you'll have a girlfriend. You don't gel, you'll have another one. Same thing with the lady. In this process, the only person who will have a baby is the lady, because that's how she has been made by God. You can't have a baby, I can't have a baby. So this is what I mean by spreading the false narrative, how it is all connected. And if we will not have, so generally, a person with making more money will have his way. See, when we are sitting and we are having a discussion, and tajiri. So whatever he talks is right. What do they say? The wealthy man's joke is always funny. Yeah. So this is the concept which comes in, because that's ultimately it boils down to that. But it was not before. Earlier it was always the elder. You will not like what your dad told you because he's head of the family, or your grandfather, but you will have to do it, bro. Jaribu not to follow him, that he'll throw you out of his house. I mean, you'll be punished for it. Everyone, no. Grandfather has said, Kumar is right, Brian is wrong, period. You can go next day in a nice way, explain to him, he'll understand your perspective and he will change it. But can you argue with him? Because he always had the interest of that family. But now same thing if you give it to an outsider, in this case the capital, they don't have, their interest is only their money. They don't care about anything. Japan is a population where the number of old people are more than the young. China also has a similar problem right now. And many Western world also they have. That's why they opened immigration and people start coming in. For any country to maintain its population, the birth rate has to be 2.1 and above. So 2 kids and 0.1. So let's say 2 kids. Okay. What we have seen, where we also have now a United Nations, some organization which wants to look at women's health and birth, something in Kenya. Their headquarters is in Kenya. They need it more than us. We don't need anything here. Yeah. I think I was giving this example to somebody. Here, when your woman gets pregnant and you have a baby, is there anything abnormal in that? Does it give you stress at a level where you can't sleep, you can't bother? No, right? A man and woman comes together, a natural thing is there, easily you'll get a baby. Is that true in the US? Is that true in Japan? Is that true in China? Is that true in India? The answer is no. People are spending thousands of dollars to just get a baby because in 2-3 generations they've forgotten. So the same thing, because the fake narrative in the woman's mind that you need to work, you need to compete with men, and we forget about this particular aspect which can only be fulfilled by a woman. I don't think so. There is a robot or an AI which can give you a son without a woman. Okay? So all these things, what they're talking of, IVF, and they take that egg and they do this and they do that, and they might even have artificial place. But that boy or a son or that son or a daughter, a girl child or a male child, will not survive the same way how it is grown in a normal woman's womb. They're trying to replicate what God has made, but I'm sorry, they can't do it. It's a fact, we have to take it for granted. See, why they are doing it, you have to understand. Because they have destroyed theirs, no? So the only thing they are left with money. So with money, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to sell this narrative, this is better. Hey, you are a woman, you need to go out and work. Okay, you don't need a man for a baby. Get somebody's this and put it and we get it to you outside. These are the kind of things, there are multiple things which has been put into it. But what is the basics of this? The basics was this. This is how it is happening. And right now, the only continent in the world or a few places amongst the world which is left is Africa. They have messed up their own thing, everything right from the soil. Soil is the beginning of everything. I believe we talked about it earlier. It's not in the soil, it's not in you. It's not in you, it can't come anywhere, right? So now they want to, earlier there was a report, they are taking millions of tons of cow dung manure from India into, and we stocked a cow without a farm and a farm without a cow. This is the basics about it. Yeah. So now coming back to how this is related to internal security. Let's say you are a family and a community where you have your young and your 50 families. So this is how it was happening in the past. And you are invaded by the enemy. You were able to defend, right? Why? Because you had the numbers. So that is why in the olden times, they did not think about having 2 babies or 3. They said, you keep on having babies because we don't know when we will be attacked and when we will go out of existence, right? In today's world, if a country does not have that birth rate, what is happening to that country is live in front of us. Old population, you're getting immigrants into the country to take care of the population. Because you see, the young, what is the meaning of having a young population? You see, the young people are the ones who are going to work. They will take care of the pension to be paid to the... But that's what we were doing in a family, no? They have all copied from us. See, I gave you an example that they put a phone and they are copying what we are doing. So they have copied everything from our ancestors and us. That's why I said that we were the most scientific than whatever science and all this nonsense of AI we bring in front of us. So now, because the birth rates have gone down, what does that country have? Country has older population, and because you are giving state benefits, though those are social benefits, you as a government need to take care of all that old population. I want to give you the same example of the olden times. So, you had the numbers, that's why you were able to defend yourself, right? Assuming you don't have the numbers, which means that in the olden times, they will take away your woman and they'll kill your children. Assuming you are left and you go to your king for justice. Tell me what justice the king can do, and he wants to do it. Tell me what justice he will do. The only thing he can do is give you money, compensation. So today, when something happens to you, the only thing you can get from your government is compensation. Somebody comes, I gave you the example of Boda Boda riders, they took away something. You can't get the phone back. You'll get a compensation. What if it goes to a level where they kill somebody? The only thing you can get is compensation. Whether it is 100 shillings or 100 million does not matter, but you will not get the person back. So this is how it all, clicks and forms together as to how we go about it.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And when you give it from that perspective, then everything sort of interconnects and makes sense. We've just talked a little bit about AI over the course of this conversation. And one of the things I mentioned when we started is that last time we were talking, we didn't have a trillionaire person in the planet. I think Elon Musk just passed that mark. If you are an investor and you wanted to bet on someone, I think the best person to bet on would be Elon Musk, based on some of the things that he has done in the past. Where are some group of people making a lot of money, and yet a lot of people are in the poor category?
So if you go back the 300-400 years and you talk of the Rockefellers and Rothschilds and the companies, what they created is they created big companies where a lot of capital was there, and this capital went wherever they thought should go. So during the 2008 bubble, all the companies crashed. There were few people who decided which can stay. So those people who decided which can stay, they bought those assets at pennies of the dollar, and they got their things, number two. Number three, when I say, do you really think the world is run by the prime ministers and the presidents of those places? No. Do you think America is run by Donald Trump? So we have to understand here, there's a concept called deep state. I don't know if you have heard of it. So deep state, it consists of the military industrial complex, the financial industrial complex, and the technological industrial complex. So it's called MIC, FIC, and TIC. So what it has created a system of where the capital goes, and the more you are compromised, the higher you are up the ladder. Why do you think the Epstein files have come right now? Do you really think this is the only thing which has happened till now? There are so many secret societies and cults within these people which had a lot of money. I think most of them, some of Illuminati, what is the other name? Freemasons. And there are so many older groups. So these all had certain different things to do so that you can be a part of it. So it's like this. So let's say you are a CEO of a finance, of a fund, and you are looking for certain amount of money from the bigger organizations to invest on you. You will only get if you are compromised. So this is how the whole system has been working. So all these Musks and other people, you are looking at people who are becoming billionaires and trillionaires on paper. All his wealth is on paper, by the way. Okay, he is leveraging that and getting all money and whatever he needs to do with it. So this so-called AI trillionaire who is attracting all this money is because all of these people are playing this whole game together. That is one aspect of it. Second aspect of it is, if you look at the prospectus of the 3 IPOs which are coming together, I think it's coming one after the other. Elon Musk's is done, OpenAI will come, and next is Anthropic. Okay. Now, they're calling this SpaceX, but the highest amount what is going is actually into AI. And generally, in finance, you sell a company based, when you're doing an IPO, you base it on the profit or its income, and then you say what multiple you want to give to its valuation. It's called a PE multiple, something simple in finance. I don't want to go deeper into the finance aspect of it. So you will value a company based on how much money it will make in the future. So can you guess, generally this is done 7 times, 10 times, 15 times your income. Okay, do you know how many times it's for SpaceX? 100 times. That is one. Number two, there is a lot of internal buying and selling within the companies. So Microsoft buying something from Anthropic buying something from Microsoft, adding sales in each of their figures, and from outside nobody coming in. According to me, it is one of the biggest scam and con on the planet. Do you know whether the American people like it or not? Their money is going to be invested in SpaceX every month, $20 billion to $50 billion, because they have included it in the index fund. So their savings, which they call 401k, something like that, it will automatically invest into these companies. So Musk or these AI companies are talking about all the work is going to be done by the robots and machines and AI, and they will remove us from employment. So who will buy it? Do you get the doom loop? I mean, the scenario. You are creating something which is going to create unemployment, and now you are creating a company and you're saying that all these people will buy. So in SpaceX, I think it has mentioned, do you know they talk of, there is a word in SEC filing, they call it expected target market. They're talking of $27 trillion. So they're talking of building AI centers in mass. They're talking of, AI centers in space, and Mars being habitual. I know you can, okay. He's talking of bringing consciousness into the galaxies or stars. So the kind of things he's talking, it's far away from a fairy tale.
Yeah. Very, very interesting connection. So, I mean, from an average guy, all I'm hearing you say is if you're in the African context, you are in the right place. This is the right place for you to be. And you just need to look around you, see what are some of the opportunities, put that entrepreneurial mind on, and try to offer solutions to people around you. And probably find a piece of land somewhere in your local location and start farming, right? So from a larger context, that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, because you see, when the last bubble went burst in the US, millions of families lost overnight. Why they lost overnight? Because you see, when this kind of things happens, inflation goes up, rate of mortgages go up, and America or the Western world, everything is built on lending. So they keep on taking more debt and everything. So a time comes when you're not able to pay your debt. So what happens is there is a foreclosure and your building or your asset is taken up. So this is when these guys, big wealth funds, they come in and they're buying those assets at a throwaway price. Now the West is almost finished, and this is transnational capital, trillions of dollars. The OPEC or the oil producing countries, they already know half the oil is gone. They've enjoyed a lot, and the other half will not have any value after 5 years, because the world's biggest consumers, China and India, they have taken big steps towards solar energy, wind energy, and hydrogen energy. They don't want to be dependent on this. So they don't have anything. So the only place where every person or every dollar or every capital needs to come is they want to come here in Africa. So when they come here, what are they going to do? They want to buy your land. So how do they buy your land? By making you bankrupt. How do I make you bankrupt? By you believing the same things what has happened there. Let the woman go to work, let the guy go to work, let them both fight, let them have a divorce, let them split their land, let the land go wherever it needs to go. And then because the government is already arm twisted with the IMF and other things, so you'll keep on getting policies which don't go down your throat. This affordable housing is there. I don't know if it is part of the same thing to put us all there. Yeah, because you might have a house and you can't pay a mortgage on a 20-25 million thing, because the bond markets and everything is going to go up. You're going to see currency, because the currencies are these days weaponized. So if we as Kenya don't listen to them, the straight away tomorrow you see currencies shooting up. When the currency shoots up, you can't buy energy, you can't buy food because of this thing. So what does the government do? Okay, fine, we need this. Okay, fine, sign this, do this. So you will see all these things coming in. So this is what is happening. So you see, what I'm trying to say is, because you're in media, how many people are really talking about these things? Yeah, we have got many podcasts here. We are talking of politics. We are talking of how, you see them talking about the mindset of Kenyan women, Yeah, so many things what they are talking about, but we are not talking about the real things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I thought it's very important for us to have this conversation, because these are the kind of things when I'm seated with you, these are the kind of conversation at least you enlighten me with. And then I'm thinking, like, of course there are some, like, someone who has like a really good job. They are earning like 100K, 200K per month. And their hope is that all these problems are above them, or they're like below them, right? So they're like, please, probably my government, don't tax me more. Just leave me at 30%. You can take 30% of my pay, and then hopefully this fuel prices just stagnant here, and then I can afford my food, and then I'll be fine, right? So there's that kind of mentality that you find a lot of middle class have. They're like, all these problems you're talking about, these are below me. They probably never affect me. What is the best way for them to approach? Should they care at all, or should they just go on with their life?
The first of all, we have to understand those people who are making 200K from a stable job, how many months or years is it going to be there? That's the first question. And that is where I have issues. But straight away to answer that question, where somebody is making that money, my advice would be here that how much is he able to save from this? The only way they will be able to save if they have a dream. Now that dream is what I'm changing here. So you might have a dream of buying a house in Nairobi. You might have a dream of saving the money to send my son or daughter to the Western world to get a degree so that the future is secure, because this is what we have seen. So I believe that we have to go one step ahead and see, is it possible for us to go back? Can I save some money and see if I can hold an asset in terms of traditional farming and farm place? Not only to do farming, but just to hold it as an asset, because you see, today you're a middle class and you have never seen a car. So you'll say, I want to buy a car. Is car an asset? It's not. It does not give you anything. It takes and it depreciates. It's not an asset. Now, you also are going by public means, or a company car takes and drops you, even your wife. The only reason why you need a vehicle is on a weekend, just to show off. I sold my car the other day. I came here on a boda. I don't want to show anybody. I'm just giving you this example how you save money. So I came here, I spent 110 shillings to come here. I'll spend 110 shillings to go back. If I would have come in a car, my parking would have been 200. So I'm not saying that everybody can do this, but what I'm saying is that this is how you save money, right? But after saving money, what are we doing? Do you really think that by investing in the stock markets, you'll make money? By investing in bond market, you're going to make money? It can stay there for some time. You need a financial advisor who can advise you based on your situation. But the key thing is, where's your compass? Where do you want to go? And you have to also believe in universe, God, whatever you want to call it. If you feel that, yes, this is where you will get enough opportunities and ways where you can go. It's not necessary you have to be alone. You can have a friend, you can have a brother, you can have somebody from your community, and you might have shared goals. And you say, okay, fine, 5 years down the line, I'm looking at myself going here. See, right now, If you ask somebody 5 years down the line, where you want to go, he'll say, I want to become this, I want to become this. Or maybe he'll say, I want to go to US or I want to go to Qatar because, these days the Gulf countries are paying a lot. So everything is in terms of job. But what I'm saying is that rug is going to be pulled under our feet like anything because they're not there. For example, we see so much about higher education and universities. So everybody talks about the various numbers we see in the media about the number of people graduating. Is there one report which shows how many of them got a job? So why are you not asking? You're spending your hard-earned money to put your son or daughter into a particular university. Why you don't have the figures about how many of those last 5 batches are working? It's not available because there are no jobs. Because earlier AI or IT companies were employing, last year 2025 it was at 70%. Right now the number for 2026 they say is going to go below 40% in terms of number of people who will get jobs in the computer science and those industries. So how many people have really taken efforts to understand how many people graduating with a certain degree, what kind of job they have, how many of them have job? Because I also get a lot of people coming in with degrees and because of what I do in the accounting and finance world. People with some amazing degrees locally, the guy is old and he's not having a job, he does not have the right experience. And when he's ready to do an internship, for 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, you feel bad about it. But now as a company, if you have got 10 people ready to work for you for 7,000, are you going to pay somebody 20,000? These days giving advice is very easy. Gemini, ChatGPT, put something, it will show something very nice. If I have a paid version, I can do some best presentations for you. So you're not going to have even consultant's job in the future. So the only person who will have something to do is an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've said it very well in terms of the future of AI and where we are and its impacts. Someone who can actualize or someone who can actually do what has been suggested. So you said we have already a lot of information in ChatGPT and Gemini. It can tell you, go do A, B, C, D. If you can actually go out there and actualize that, I think you'll be in a much better position going forward. And also just changing your mindset on how you see things. You talked about having a vision of what you want to see in the future, and also changing that will be a critical part moving forward. We've been talking for quite a while now. Any parting shots that you have that you can share with the guys?
So my parting shot, I would say, is this is not the end of the world. This is just the beginning. And we have a role to play here. So I felt I should come out and talk about it. So I'm saying, you have any problems, anything, you're not alone. We are there. Let's see what we can do together.
Absolutely. And I think I mentioned this before we started. These are the kind of conversation we usually have on a phone call or when we meet on a cup of coffee. And I thought, you know what, we could sit down and just have a conversation around these issues. So I hope a lot of people will resonate with it, will pick a thing or two that they can actually be able to actualize in their own life. And maybe we have another one and another one to keep it going as well. Thank you very much for being with us, I think, in the last few hours. So it's been a really, really good conversation for me, for myself as well, because there's a lot of things I have also learned. I hope it resonated to you as well. Great more content coming your way. If there's any suggestion of a topic that you'd like to see Kumar talk about, or something that you would like for him to expound on, I think that would be very great. To be happy to have him on as well to talk more about that. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. And for more extra content to come. Till the next podcast, remember to be organic. Cheers.